That's great.
So let's give it a couple of minutes until everyone joins and we get things started.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey, welcome everybody. Just as a quick note, for those of you who just joined, we're gonna give it just another minute or two since we just kind of opened up the floodgates, and we'll kind of kick things off here in a couple minutes once everyone has a chance to get in.
Maybe as a way of an introduction, I'm Ari. I'm one of the co-founders and I'm the CEO of Big Team Studios. Here with us, we have Ray and Nirvan, who are people from the community who have been helping us. Doug, who is Falcon DW. He's our Director of Operations. And Thor, who's here with us, is our Chief Product Officer. And finally, Derp Tunnel, or Matt Tonks, who's our CTO. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves also, but wow, we're 350 people already.
360. Hey everybody, awesome. Welcome to our first AMA.
Hi guys, nice to talk to you.
All right, what do you guys?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yep. No, go for it.
My name's Nirvan. You might have seen me around. I helped organize the Discord a little bit more, and yeah.
Right. I think we hit 400 and we get started.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, we're there.
All right, I think that's our cue. Well, hey.
Okay, let's begin.
Yeah, welcome everybody. And as Ari just said, my name's Doug Wilson. I'm the Director of Operations here at Big Time. And just real quick, I just want to say on behalf of all of us here at Big Time that we're just really excited to be here. We've been working hard on this game, and it's great to be at the point where we can begin sharing some of the details with you guys. As I'm sure most of you are aware, we've seen tremendous growth over the past couple of weeks here in this community. Our goal as we continue through our development cycle with this product is to be bringing you guys along for the ride, keeping you posted with news that you can share out with others, and any content, and just bring you along for the ride so that you can kind of see how this goes. One thing before we get into some of the questions here is stay tuned for after this AMA. We've got some exciting news that we want to announce regarding our first prize-based competition that will give you a chance to earn some unique NFTs. So we'll be giving more details about that as we get through. For this AMA, the format over the next 45 minutes or so is we've been collecting questions from you guys over the last few days, and a lot of them have come in. We've gone through those questions. I've kind of whittled them down and kind of identified some of the hot topics that we're hoping to cover for you guys here. So we'll be discussing those questions and letting you guys kind of listen in and continue to kind of chat and provide some feedback and whatnot for us as we go through here. One of the big questions that continues to be asked is, when is this game coming out? I do want to kind of point people to our frequently asked questions channel. I know the mods would appreciate this too, since they kind of surface a lot of these questions at all times of the day. But we're going to use that frequently asked questions channel to be posting kind of some of these answers and whatnot too, as well as announcements and whatnot. But we don't want there to be kind of any question around around these types of topics, and so we'll do our best to get those out there. But to answer it clearly, kind of in this form, is we are planning for a Q1 release in so early next year, 2022, and any alpha or beta testing that we may decide to do beforehand will be announced here in our Discord announcement channel ahead of time. So as well as out to our mailing list. So just once again, early access is going to be planned for Q1 of next year. Okay, well, I've got a list of questions to go through. So we're going to start with kind of one of the biggest ones that we've seen asked outside of the schedule question, which was, what was the big idea behind doing this? So Ari, I think I'll hand that one off to you.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Doug, for the introduction, and thanks everyone for being here. There are already 500 people online for our first AMA, so it's super exciting. As a way of introduction, I have been in the gaming and NFT space for about 4 years. Initially as the co-founder and CEO of Decentraland, which was possibly the first attempt at bringing blockchain-based virtual items into the metaverse or virtual world. I was also the organizer of Nifty, which was the first blockchain gaming and NFT conference back in 2018. So I got to see a lot of related projects shape up. And as part of that, I got to experience how much excitement there was around actually owning the virtual goods in your games. I also got to see, as a developer, that the core gamer audience was being left out of the auction a little bit. The reality was that for all the early generation or first generation of blockchain games, the user experience that came with obtaining your NFTs, safeguarding or custodying them, and using them inside of the game was perhaps too complicated for most people. It was really infrastructure that was being used by developers, and the average player did not want to deal with all those complications of setting up their own wallets, procuring cryptocurrency as a way to participate, and maybe running the risk of losing all of your inventory if you ever misplaced your private key. So after I launched Decentraland, Thor, who's here with us, and I started working under the premise of making a high quality game that would first and foremost delight players, and where the crypto layer was super accessible and not getting in the middle of the action, and where you could participate regardless of whether or not you knew anything about crypto. So in the short term, we're going to be working on Big Time, which is this action RPG game. And the idea with this is really to create a showcase for what the end result could be if you mix a great game with a dead easy play experience for using your NFTs. Longer term, we're also going to be working on helping other game studios to do the same and hopefully unlock the value of all the virtual items for the gaming industry. We think that this could be very transformative because virtual items represent the bulk of the revenue for the video game industry. So the fact that players haven't had the ability to treat any of these items as if they were physical objects is very limiting and maybe unfair for players, meaning that with real items, you can give them away to your friends, you can trade them, you can loan them, and do a lot of exciting things that with virtual items is currently not possible. So we're here to try to change that.
Awesome.
Doug?
Thor, Thor, did you have anything else you want to add around the original idea?
Hey guys.
the biggest part of this is how to balance a game that's MMO-like, that can be around for decades and decades, like Ultima Online or World of Warcraft, but also something that's highly accessible, like Fortnite, where you can get in, get out. You don't feel like it's taking over your whole life. You don't feel like you can't compete if you're not spending 40 hours a week, which is the equivalent of a job in the game. So we came up with this concept that we call SMOG, Shared Multiplayer Online Game, which is kind of the lean version of an MMO. We looked at it and said, hey, what are the core systems that people love? What are the systems that are really a drag? What are the systems that we can bring kind of a new take on? And that was like the primary driving principle behind the design of Big Time.
So then following on that, Matt, this one's probably good for you, is we've seen a lot of questions with people asking if this is ultimately going to be PvP, PvE, or maybe some combination of both.
Sure. Hi, guys. I'm the CTO, Matt Tonks. So primarily we're focused on PvE, which is player versus environment. And so that means you're going to be playing with your friends, co-op, trying to beat the environment, get through those dungeons, get that cool loot, and really have a cooperative, fun experience as a team. We may end up adding PvP modes later on down the line, but our focus right now is PvE.
Cool. And then we've also had a lot of questions around how folks kind of get in from a payment standpoint. Specifically, we've seen the question, will there be a need to have a credit or debit card in order to play the game?
Sure, I can take that one. So at the forefront of the type of experience that we're building is the fact that we want this to be as accessible as possible. This is a free-to-play game, and as such, you don't need to have a debit or credit card or even cryptocurrency to participate. The game is going to be freely downloadable for Windows PC initially. Over time, we want to expand into other platforms. But back to the question, you certainly don't need any means of payment in order to take part.
Awesome. Okay, and then kind of moving down the list here, the next one was around the topics of both kind of free to play and pay to win. These have been concerns that you guys have been asking a lot of questions around. So I guess to kind of answer that once and for all, Thor, you wanna cover that?
Sure, yeah, we want to be very clear about this. Big Time is a free-to-play game. As Ari said, there's no upfront charges to pay. We do feature microtransactions like other free-to-play games. The big thing we want people to understand is we're not pay to win at all. We decided early on to draw a hard line and say that we're only going to sell cosmetic items, like you see in Fortnite and League of Legends, and we'll never sell power. So items that grant you power are dropped as loot in the game, but you don't go buy those as NFTs on the marketplace. The stuff you get as NFTs are going to be really cool cosmetics that make you stand out from the hordes of players. You know, everything from really cool hats, capes, to super cool VFX that you can attach to your character and show off when you enter a scene, when you pull off a cool move. We've got a huge list of cool ideas from the team, and we'll be sharing some of those ideas for cool cosmetic NFT items as we go along here.
And some of the other questions I think have been more game specific. You guys have been able to see a few screenshots. You've been able to see in one of our news articles even a little bit of really early game footage. So one of these next kind of group of questions was kind of specifically talking about how players will kind of transition from a sense of like a community hub into dungeons, and whether or not that's going to require a travel scene or if there's just this giant map that everybody's on.
Yeah, I can take that one. So we will have some larger zones that have lots of people in them and big expansive areas you can wander around in. But the sort of the narrative and the story of the game is all about time travel and alternate universes and portals through time. And so a lot of the dungeons, probably most of the dungeons that you'll enter, you'll be jumping through a portal to get to it. And that lends itself very nicely to the way we've structured our server architecture and whatnot, so that we can really push lots of crazy different dungeons that are procedurally generated and interesting and new, for each session that you play, without having to jam that all into one big space. So we're trying to leverage this story with the technology in a hand-in-hand fashion that makes the game more interesting, but also lets us do some cool stuff on the tech side. So generally speaking, when you enter a dungeon, it'll be a portal with a brief load, and that gives us the opportunity to do matchmaking and other things at the same time.
And Thor, this might be a good one for you. Is the question is, what's the core gameplay loop?
Kill monsters, get loot, level up. Kill bigger monsters, get better loot. Rinse and repeat. Pretty much, if you've played Diablo or anything derived from Diablo, like Path of Exile, you're very familiar with this. We think it's a great match for what we're doing on the cosmetic side with NFTs, because sometimes one of those pieces of loot that drops is going to be an NFT. Sometimes that NFT is going to be super, super rare. And I think people are really going to dig that.
Mm-hmm. And then as an RPG, is there going to be housing and other things of that nature?
Yeah, one of my favorite features is everybody's going to get their own time machine, also known as their personal pocket universe. And not only can you use this to travel through time and space to go on all these exciting quests, you can also expand it and decorate it with artifacts that you collect in the game. And then you can invite your friends to come over and hang out inside your time machine and check out the way you've decorated it, throw parties and socialize.
Cool. Yeah, and speaking of friends, there actually was a question about how many friends are we able to kind of play with cooperatively? How many can we party up with? Matt, you want to tackle that one?
Sure. Yeah. Primarily, we'll be focused on 6-player co-op. So you'll have a party of up to 6 players with complementary co-op mechanics going. So you kind of need to choose your friends wisely and find a good combination that helps you defeat that boss or get through that dungeon in a cool way. And then just to add to the last, your own pocket universe, I think it's a great opportunity to take NFTs and display them in there, not just sort of like stuff in the game that you can decorate and put in, but maybe you bought an NFT from somewhere else or from inside our game and you can put it on the wall and show it off. It might be cool.
Yeah, definitely. Outside of a party, though, I mean, what about solo players? Are we able to kind of play the game solo?
I can take that one. Yeah, so the game is primarily a co-op game. That's largely what sets us apart from other games. But we recognize that there's a lot of players who do like to solo. So we're creating a sidekick system that allows players to fill any empty party slots with NPC retainers that'll go along and adventure with you. So it could be you've got a party of 3 of your friends and you want 3 more NPCs, or it could be, you're by yourself and you want 5 more NPCs, and the system's going to help you out there.
Awesome. And a few more kind of on the gameplay front. We've seen folks asking, are there going to be more classes than what we've announced, being that we've got on the website the Time Warrior and the Chronomancer? Do we have any more classes planned?
Yeah, from the website, you can see that we've got 2 silhouettes there that are yet unannounced. So our plan is to have 4 classes available for beta and then launch additional ones with future expansion after that. We're not saying what those other ones are yet. We don't want to spoil the party. But I know that there's been a lot of asking of whether we're going to have a healer class. So we have a very interesting spin on the classic healer under development. And we'll be announcing that one fairly soon.
Perfect. And then how will loot end up working? Is it going to be instanced, or will it end up being first come, first served?
I'll take that one. I think largely we're going to be going with instance loot, just to avoid that ninja looting problem you see in other games sometimes. There might be a couple exceptions with really special cases where there's some sort of loot that we're introducing it in first come, first serve as a race because we think that's interesting for some reason. But I'd say 99% of the time it'll be that loot that you see on the ground is your loot. You don't have to worry about somebody else, running over and stealing it from you.
Yeah, and on the loot topic, gosh, we got a lot of questions around there. I'm going to kind of take this back towards the NFT side just quickly. Is we've seen the question: is every item in the game going to be an NFT?
Yeah, I can take that one too. So
Sure.
we will have NFT items, obviously, but every item in the game will not be an NFT necessarily. So we'll have, obviously this game has lots of loot and equipment, and as Thor just mentioned, we're trying to stay away from pay to win. So we have items that we do want to affect your stats, and those will be non-NFTs, just kind of more normal game items, because we want to be able to let people buy NFTs and trade them without kind of screwing around with the power structure of the game or the economy of the game. So the items in game that you loot, those are not NFTs. You can put them on and put them in your inventory, similar to NFTs, but they're sort of a separate thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So two kind of questions we've seen around this is every NFT kind of one of a kind, being unique, and are there going to be any of these that might be associated with certain key events? On that last one, Matt, you want to kind of tackle the kind of NFTs around key events question?
Sure. Yeah. So a lot of this is sort of to be determined in the future, but we love the idea of having some special event with an NFT associated with it. The Christmas party, the Christmas event, and then once you complete the quest line of the Christmas event, you get a special Christmas NFT or something like that. None of this is super well thought out, but we love the idea, so I would not be surprised if we had stuff like that when we ship.
Yeah, and the first part of that being, are these going to be kind of one of a kind?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So,
okay.
So what's new here with NFTs is that because the items are governed by Ethereum smart contracts, people can have public information about the property of the items, including the total supply of the items, meaning how many copies of each item there is. So some of the items are going to be one of a kind or one of one, as some people call them. Others are going to be limited edition, but you can think of items having, 100 or so copies. But yeah, in essence, what's new here is that you're going to have visibility into how many copies of each item exist and will ever exist. And this is new and important in a context where there is an active market for the items, because it's really hard to put an item, a price into an item if you don't know if there are infinite copies of their item or if it's actually scarce. So scarcity is something that's going to be able to, something that you're going to be able to verify independently.
Yeah, and that kind of touches on this next question, which you might have actually already answered in that, which is it says here, is it possible for me to easily get an item that's exclusive to me that nobody else has?
Yeah, I can just tag team on there. That it is possible. Like Ari just said, there are going to be some items that are completely unique, one of one. And the nice thing about the blockchain is that's exactly how many of that item there are. So when you get an item, it doesn't just say, "Oh, this is super rare." You can go look at it and be like, "Nope, there's exactly one of these. It's in my inventory. It's mine." Those are not going to be super common. Those are kind of a special, a rare, unique thing is rare and unique, hopefully. So they're not going to be common, but definitely possible.
And I'll add to that is the blockchain is the thing that ensures that promise to you is kept as a user, and then we don't go back on it and later say, well, we're going to bring out 100 more of these, because it's out there publicly written on the blockchain and guaranteed.
And then with regards to the items, there's been a question a few times here around, are we going to be able to sell or buy the NFT items via cryptocurrency on our site, or possibly from buying, selling kind of from or to other players?
Sure, that's a great question and one that comes up a lot. We're designing this in such a way that it's not confusing for people. And we expect people to learn about big time through the game initially. So when we designed the game, we thought that we wanted to keep it as simple as possible. So if you access the game, first, it's free to play. And second, you're going to be able both to earn NFTs just by virtue of playing the game and completing some levels and killing monsters. And also, you're going to be able to buy some types of NFTs inside of the game using credit or debit card the way it's usually done in traditional games. Aside from that, there's going to be a marketplace where people are going to be able to log in using the same game account without the need for any wallet or any previous crypto experience. And on that marketplace, you're going to be able to both buy and sell the NFTs for real money. And by real money, I mean both dollars as well as crypto. And you're going to be able to also cash out to your bank once you made a sale, and also be able to deposit real money into your account from your bank and from your debit and credit card. So the idea is that we are covering all types of players, people who are not familiar with crypto, they can participate, and a lot of crypto people sometimes have maybe more crypto than they do have fiat or dollars, and the experience is also catered towards them.
And I've got a close friend of mine who this next question is near and dear to his heart, because as he's kind of gotten into these kind of crypto blockchain based games, the need for a wallet continues to be a stumbling block. Sometimes there's even, just as you talked, Ari, about experience with these types of products, that type of thing can be pretty confusing. So will a crypto wallet end up being needed to play this game, or and specifically to kind of own items?
Cool. So as I mentioned during the introduction, accessibility is at the forefront of what we're building. So there certainly won't be an expectation for you to have a wallet. What we're going to be doing is providing hosted wallets that work in the backend. But for the player, this is going to look just like having a game inventory. So there certainly won't be a need for a wallet, but over time, we want to also be building this so that if you happen to be an advanced user that wants to keep the items in their own wallet, they're also going to be able to do so. But we presume that for the vast majority of players, they're going to want to go with a much simpler experience where it's all handled for you, and you don't need to be safeguarding your own assets or taking care of the wallet yourself.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And while we're on this topic, I've got two more questions that we'll kind of cover in this space, and then we'll move back to some of the gameplay items. So I'm going to read these next couple verbatim because they were written with quite a bit of detail, which is great. So this one specifically asks, how do the NFTs in this game differ from item systems in many Steam games? And for example, they list here, CSGO has unique IDs, traceable history. The items are tradable. They can be exchanged for real money via Steam or a third party. And how would we say that our system here is unique and differs from this example?
I can take that one. So the main thing is, there's lots of similarities as this person calls out, but the main thing is that all those functions, or all that functionality that was listed there is public on a decentralized chain. So when you're talking about CS:GO, you're just trusting that Valve is not going to make more of those skins, or that this thing is indeed unique. And but maybe more importantly, you're limited to Valve's ecosystem. So if you wanted to take that skin out, sure, you could exchange it for real money, but you couldn't say take that item and take a loan out against its value like you could if it was on the open blockchain. The fact that our items are on the blockchain means that they can interact with literally anything out there in the world that is also on the blockchain, whether it's gaming related or not. So you can also do interesting things like maybe use that item in another game, or there's nothing stopping somebody from making another game that looks at NFTs from big time and does something different in their game based on your ownership of that NFT or not. And that's kind of the beauty of the open blockchain system, is that it's open, right? So anything that you're talking about with Valve or Epic or any of those big companies that does similar stuff, you know, you can definitely accomplish similar functionality if you just roll it yourself, but it doesn't have that decentralized sort of trust but verify property that the blockchain does. So you can verify on the blockchain that if we tell you an item is unique, you can go look at it and say, is it really? And you know, the blockchain is going to say yes or no, there's actually 10 of these and this is the third of 10 or whatever. I think that's the main difference.
Mm-hmm. And Ari, this next one's probably best served by you here. It says, hypothetically, if no Ethereum is put into the game, would the NFT marketplace fail to function? Is the amount of Ethereum circulating in the market determined by players who transfer ETH into the game?
Okay, this is a complex problem. Fundamentally, for every item that is put up for sale, there has to be a buyer for the sale to go through. But the amount of money circulating is not only determined by how much ETH have people deposited, because first there's going to be other types of currency that you're going to be able to deposit. We're thinking about stablecoin or digital dollars, also possibly Bitcoin, and there might be others there. But on the other hand, people are going to be able to basically buy an item on the spot, even if they haven't deposited money earlier. And this could be done also by using your credit or debit card, or also by transferring money directly from your bank. We're going to be working with a partner that has a very wide network with payment processors and banks. So it's going to be very easily for anyone who has a bank already to bring money into the system. One more thing aside from this is that this is not only going to be players that are buying a specific item to use, but as it happens in most marketplaces over time, and as the market grows, there tends to be a new type of participant, which is the market maker, meaning people that make it a job to buy and sell items and arbitrage the price there. So probably we're going to see like a lot of professional traders in the space as well.
Okay, let's take things back over to the game side a little bit. We've got a few questions here. First, we've been asked, is there going to be anything similar to guilds or clans planned? Thor, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, we love guilds. We have really big plans for supporting guilds as a core part of the game. We haven't released any of those info, so stay tuned. There'll be a lot more on that coming out soon.
Awesome. And what about mounts? Rideables?
Yeah, I love mounts too. There's really no better way to cross a big open world than on the back of a mount, especially if you can ride them out of the inside of your personal time machine out into whatever time period you've landed in. So we think it's going to be pretty awesome, especially when you see some of the cool mounts that we've got coming.
That's great. Okay, we're kind of getting down towards the end of our list here. Some of these questions that I'm seeing here, we've kind of answered, and some of the other answers. Regarding the game itself, do we have any plans for any DLC or expansion packs?
Yeah, I can take that one. So yeah, the way we're structuring the production is the core of the game is going to be delivered by beta. But then after that, we will be having expansions, and these expansions will be timed from the different historical time periods that you can go and visit. So there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff coming in there because we get to pull from all across all of time and space. So whether it's going back to a world with cowboys and dinosaurs, or going into the far future with spaceships, it's really a a great tapestry that we get to work with. It's one of the great things about the project, because if you're a game developer on an MMO that's around for 10, 20, 30 years, if you're stuck just making elves and orcs every day, it gets really old after a while. But when you've got all of time and space to pull from, I don't think our developers are ever going to get bored, nor our players.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned beta there. I just wanted to, I think briefly at the beginning, I want to kind of re-stress what I said at the beginning, which is that any kind of alpha or beta testing that we open up will, prior to early access or whatnot, we'll be sure to announce for you guys via both our email kind of distribution list that you guys have signed up for. If not, you can on our website. And then via our announcement channels here. But I think we've got a few questions around if we have a beta, basically, will there be some cosmetic NFTs kind of early on, or will they not be available? And maybe this plays into the early access too. But Ari, I'll kind of direct this one towards you, but it's the question here is kind of asking, I think at the heart is, at what point are NFTs going to kind of be unleashed in the game? Is it when it fully launches, or maybe sometime before?
Well, so this is a great question, actually, because what's new with NFTs is also that they are persistent. They are permanent, and it's beyond our control whether the item continues existing, because once they've been created, they have an owner and they last forever. So first, we are going to have an initial campaign in the near future to distribute some NFTs. So in that sense, there are going to be NFTs way beyond even the closed beta. But also, as we approach the launch, we are certainly going to introduce at least some NFTs, mostly for testing purposes. And then when the early access phase starts, there might be an initial cohort of players that are going to be able to farm or obtain NFTs inside of the game before all the others, if they have acquired one of the VIP early access passes. But it's also expected that once the game goes finally live, some of the user data might be erased, but because the NFTs are persistent, the record of ownership of the NFTs and the objects themselves are not going to disappear, but actually you're going to be able to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Can I add to that a little bit?
Yeah.
So for anybody who's been through MMO beta cycle, you've gone through the player wipes here and there. It's just it's part of the process, right? As we're developing the game, things get changed, and there's reasons why we have to wipe your player data and start over. The really cool thing about the technology we have is the NFTs are separated from that player data. So we can be giving out NFTs throughout the beta process that don't get wiped, as Ari said. So you'll be able to play the beta early, be able to get cool NFTs by participating in events, and be able to keep those NFTs forever.
And I think one last thing on NFTs, there's been a few people that have asked specifically around, I think some of the news with the first drops on kind of Binance NFTs, if they're able to use Binance.us, and I think specifically there's been conversation around the restriction in New York for being able to register for Binance. Ari, is there anything you can speak to on that?
Sure. So we have a very global audience. There are people from the US and people from all over the world. Binance is going to be one of the two partners that we have this initial campaign with. And unfortunately, they, at least their Binance.com products are mostly not accessible from the US. So for people in the US, we're shortly going to announce a campaign with another partner where people who live there, including New York, are going to be able to participate and take part in the drops.
Great. And you mentioned global audience. There's actually been a couple questions around. I think France was specifically noted in the question, but two here. Matt, I think I'll throw these over to you. There was a question that said, "Will our game be playable in France at the same time as the U.S.?" But I think we could really insert any country in there.
Sure. Yeah. So we plan to have data centers and a number of data centers around the world so that everybody gets a good ping no matter where you live. And then in addition to that, unlike some other MMOs that kind of like have shards for different regions, the way that we're doing dungeon instancing really means we can pick a data center that's best for the party no matter where the party's coming from. So what the end result of that is that everybody will be in one world. So you'll be able to play with friends from France or from South Africa or South America or wherever you want. You're just you're having to make that decision for yourself. It's like, okay, my 5 friends from California are wanting to play with our buddy from Australia. Well, someone's going to get left out there. If you're all playing on the same server, somebody's going to have worse latency than everybody else. But we're kind of leaving that in the player's hands so that if you really want to, you can go play with your buddy from Australia, and we'll do our best to optimize the latency there. But speed of light is kind of a painful mistress in that situation. So it's only, it's up to the players to make that choice, but we want to leave it as free as possible.
Yeah. Okay, you guys. Well, we're kind of winding down here. I've got, at the risk of kind of shuffling around a bit, let's handle. I see a couple extra questions around loot we'll tackle, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. So,
yeah, one more thing, Doug. Let's give Nirvan a minute now, maybe, to make an announcement of one of the first campaign that we're going to start working on next week.
Sounds great.
Sure. So as Doug mentioned at the beginning of the call, the first opportunity to earn an NFT will be announced early next week. And so the main idea of this opportunity is going to be a content-based competition. So people will be able to make TikTok videos about Big Time using our hashtag, and there'll be ways to earn NFTs based on the content you create. So we'll be announcing like the hashtag, the rules, and the specifics of this competition early next week. And so you make sure to keep an eye on the announcements channel because that's where we'll be announcing those rules. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Nirvan. Super excited about that campaign.
Cool. Okay, well, actually, I think, let me tackle these last 2 questions, and then I think we'll kind of be at a good stopping point and wrap it up, and we'll have covered kind of the hot topics, at least what we kind of collected from the survey that you guys filled out. So real quick, Thor, are there going to be more types of weapons available in the future besides just the ones that we've seen already on the website?
Oh, yeah, tons and tons. So we've got a wide variety of new gear being designed, including cool stuff from all the many different time periods that you can go visit. So everything that you're seeing right now is from the Time's End time period. So you're going to see a lot of cool stuff from throughout history coming out. It's going to be awesome.
Cool. And then finally, Matt or Thor, really, are there, I think, Thor, you kind of alluded to this at the beginning around, kind of how this game works, but are there going to be a lot of NPCs to fight and lots of loot to collect?
Yeah, similar to gear, I think one of the main things that keeps this style of game interesting and kind of gives it that spice of life as you're playing is lots of variety in enemies and NPCs. So I would expect lots of different kinds of enemies that play differently, look differently, all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely something we're pushing hard on.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, you guys. Well, that kind of wraps up the kind of Q&A session on this AMA based on all the questions we've received. And as I kind of said at the beginning, this is we're really excited about seeing this community come together, the growth that it's had, and we are really looking forward to being able to continue to share content as it becomes available and keep you guys posted every step of the way as we continue to bring this thing into full launch. So stay tuned. We'll continue to announce additional AMAs. You can follow the announcements and news channels that we've got posted up there, and we'll continue to be kind of creating other channels and giving you guys opportunity to engage with each other as well as us in the near future here as we look for opportunities to continue to bring additional content to you. So thanks for taking the time to kind of join us here and listen in, and hopefully this has addressed some of your guys' questions, and we'll collect some more and look to be doing this again, hopefully in the near future.
Thanks everyone for joining. This was great.
Yeah,
Thanks, Doug, for moderating. Talk soon.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And thanks to our moderators. You guys are awesome.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll see you later.